Hi everyone, we're going to run through the 2026 Miami Open draw. This is for the men's. We're going to run through it quarter by quarter. So if there's a certain part of the draw that you're more interested in, click the timestamp down below and that'll send you there. I thought we'd start off by going through the withdrawals first of all. So Serenaldo's out, Djokovic is out, that's huge. Greek Spor's out, Mercedes out, Munar's out, Holgaroon's out, Junchen's out, and Sonigo's out. You'll have that list of players up here somewhere. We're also going to run through the seeds. We won't go through all of them. Let's run through the top 10 though, and then the rest of them will be up on the screen somewhere too. Alcaraz is in, Sinner's in, Zverev's in. We're missing Mercedes. Dominor's in, Fritz is in, Felix is in, Shelton's in, and our new top 10 player, Medvedev's back. The defending champ for last year's tournament is Menchik. He is in the draw again. He's here this year. So let's run through the first quarter of the draw. All right, so like I said, we're going to run through the whole tournament quarter by quarter. So we'll start with the top quarter here. We'll probably go to about the fourth round and then maybe just my finals predictions. So beginning at the top here, we have Alcaraz, obviously, but also you'll notice underneath him, there's a possible second round matchup against Fonseca. So that is huge. I'm absolutely can't wait to see that if that happens. That would be super, super exciting. Pericard's in there too. Quarters around that little first section of six players there. I think it's really straightforward for Alcaraz though, unless Fonseca pulls out some magic. So Alcaraz for me goes through to the fourth round really comfortably there. The next section of players is Darderi and Kachanov being our seeds. Duckworth's in there, Batista or Gut's in there. Again, I don't think it's a really challenging section for our seeded players. I think Darderi and Kachanov meet up in the third round, and probably Kachanov going through to the fourth round with a meet-up for Alcaraz. Fairly straightforward section there. Our next section goes to Ruud and Lehecka being our seeds. Hubie Hurkacz is in there. Ethan Quinn's in there. They meet in the first round. That'll be a nice first-round match. But they go on to play, or the winner of that goes on to play Ruud, and the winner of that probably goes on to play Lehecka. I think that's probably going Ruud's way. I got that wrong with Lehecka in Indian Wells. Whether or not it was just the fact that Medvedev played out of his skin, I don't know. But I'd love to see Lehecka take out Ruud and move on to the fourth round. He would then move on to play the winner of the Draper-Fritz part of the draw. I think this is a really cool section. You've got Opelka in there too. You've got Borges, Shapovalov and Vandersloot. That's a cool little section. I do think Draper and Fritz are playing much better tennis than any of them. But I did get Shapovalov wrong against Tsitsipas. I thought they were both just really out of form and not playing well. But Chapo showed us that he's back at Indian Wells. I think he's playing some good tennis again. Is he playing good enough to beat Fritz? No, I don't think so. Are either of them playing good enough to beat Draper? I don't think so either. I think Draper goes through. So Draper to the fourth round for me, probably against Ruud. I'm not going out on a huge limb there because that's just seeds versus seeds, but I believe it's going to be Draper versus Ruud in that fourth round. So to wrap up that quarter, we've got Alcaraz versus Kachanov fourth round, Ruud versus Draper fourth round. That's my predictions for first quarter. All right, the second quarter of the draw. We start off, there's actually a lucky loser in here. So lucky loser starts the top half of the second quarter. Goes on to play Echeverry. Echeverry's got a matchup with possibly Bergs or Brooksby, so that's pretty tough. The lucky loser's got a nice draw there against Halfman or Jodar. So I think Echeverry goes through pretty comfortably to the fourth round just based on the draw, but his second round matchup will probably be the tougher one. Then we go down to the next section, Paul and Kaboli. Tommy Paul and Kaboli are our seeds here, 22nd and 13th seeds. I love this section because Dimitrov's in there, mini-feds. Kaboli versus Paul third round would be my prediction. Would love to see Grigor there, though. My heart says Grigor. My head says Kaboli. Paul make it to third round. Manarino's in there. I don't think he makes an upset against Tommy Paul, though. Tommy Paul's just playing the same game as Manarino, but just better. So Paul, Kaboli, and then winner of that goes on to play Echeverry. Next section's cool. We got Bublik and Vacherot as our seeds. Berrettini's in there for a second round matchup against Bublik. I can't wait for that. It's almost as exciting for me as the Fonseca Alcaraz one. That's number one. This is number two for the second round matchups. I do think Bublik wins that though. Berrettini hasn't really shown us the form that he has in the past. So Bublik moves through to third round for me, and Vacherot has a fairly simple forward path to the third round as well. I think Bublik goes through to the fourth round after beating Vacherot in straight sets. I'm going to call the straight sets now as well. The bottom of the second quarter, Fils and Dominor. Now this is interesting. Fils, I think, goes through pretty comfortably. He's got a second round matchup, I would imagine, against Leonard Struff. So that might be a little tough, but Phil seems to be playing really, really well at the moment. Now, the bottom section of this is Stefanos and Dominor. So Dominor obviously is not playing his best that he showed us last year, but Tsitsipas is definitely not playing his best. So I still think Dominor's playing much more consistent tennis. I believe that he goes through comfortably on the recent form that we've seen. Tsitsipas may not even get past his first round match with what he's been doing lately. So Dominor goes through, plays Fils. Dominor goes through to fourth round, I believe. But I'm actually going to go back on that. I'm going to say Fils goes through to fourth round by beating Dominor in 3 sets. I'm going to throw some sets into this one. So Fils beats Dominor to go on to the fourth round. Winner of that probably plays Bublik. So Bublik gets to fourth round for me as well. Echeverry gets to the fourth round just based on how his draw looks. And I believe Kaboli gets through Paul. I believe. All right, so we're starting with the top half of the bottom draw, the third quarter. This whole section is actually really interesting to me because it begins with Ben Shelton. Now, Shelton was injured or sick against Lerner Tien in Indian Wells. So whether he's back to full health or not, I don't know 100%, but I would assume so. He wouldn't be here otherwise. I think he's got a really easy section. I think he's got Humbert in the third round, and then he goes straight through to the fourth round, as long as he's healthy. I think it's a fairly straightforward section for him to make the fourth round, and I'd love to see him go deep this tournament. But if we go down to the second part of this section, there's someone in his way. Cerundolo's there, and the other seed on that part of the section is Medvedev. So Medvedev, for me, is playing top 3 tennis in the world at the moment. Kicks Zverev out, and Medvedev's top 3 at the moment, if he continues this form that he's shown us for the last 2 months or so. So Medvedev goes through to third round. Cerundolo goes through to third round for my picks again. Could be upsets, but I don't think so. Medvedev takes Cerundolo, goes to the fourth round for an epic matchup with Shelton. Ding, ding, ding. Then we go down to the next section where we have Fokina, who really surprised me in Indian Wells. He played a great tournament. He's got a first-round matchup against a qualifier, Draxel, who is playing okay, or Quinton Hallis. I think that's fairly straightforward for Fokina, the form he showed us at Indian Wells. But the problem for him as well is that he comes up against Lerner Tien in the third round. So that's who he lost to at Indian Wells. It was 3 sets. It was a good match, but I think Lerner Tien figured him out, outplayed him towards the end. So again, maybe a straightforward match for Lerner now that he's got some rhythm against Fokina. That puts us into a matchup that I'd be really interested to see. If Lerner takes on Fokina and wins that again, which I believe he will, the bottom section of this one is Nakashima and Zverev as our seeds, but there's a first-round matchup between Cilic and Popyrin. That, for me, is a cool match. I like that matchup. I think whoever wins that match, I think if it's Popyrin finding some form again, he goes on to beat Nakashima. I think if it's Cilic, just based on age and what we've seen lately, it's 50-50 if he beats Nakashima. I think Nakashima is a win-ball match for both those guys. They go on to possibly play Zverev, though, so good luck to whoever then moves on to that third round. But Zverev does need to get through Fernley or Martin Dam, the wild card. Fernley showed us some good tennis in Indian Wells. I think he goes forward to play Zverev. That's a really good second-round matchup. Zverev probably wins that unless Fernley pulls out something amazing. So Zverev goes through. Nakashima, I don't think so. I think we're going to say Cilic or Popyrin goes through to third round, but then Zverev goes through on top of that. So Zverev to maybe meet Lerner Tien in the fourth round. That could be very interesting. All right, and the bottom half of the bottom quarter of the draw, we're starting with Felix, the informed Canadian. He has a fairly straightforward section. I think the first round matchup for the other seed in this section is more difficult. So Rinderknech versus either Atmain or Altemeyer. I think that's a really good first round match. I'm going to stay up and watch that one. But that could go the same way as the Nakashima matchup. Whoever wins that first round and then plays Rinderknech, I think that goes 50-50. Felix, I think, gets through to the third round pretty comfortably, but who meets him there, I don't know. I think that's a fairly open section of the draw. I believe then Felix, the way he's playing at the moment, goes forward to the fourth and possibly goes up against our next section. So Tiafoe and Menchik are the 2 seeds, the defending champion, don't forget. So Menchik's there as the 12th seed, Tiafoe's there as the 19th seed. Menchik has a possible second round against Sebastian Baez or Adam Walton. Maybe Walton. I'm going Walton for the Aussies. But then Menchik gets through them pretty comfortably. So Menchik third round. Tiafoe might play Arthur Kazoo. Don't think Arthur Kazoo's got enough firepower to go through Tiafoe. So Tiafoe, for my eyes, again, wins that. And then we have a Tiafoe Menchik third round. That's so far the most exciting third round I think we've seen. Look, I don't think Menchik's playing bad. I just don't think he's playing the same that he was this time last year. So I'm going to say, on a limb, Tiafoe goes fourth round against Felix. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm going to say defending champ knocked out third round by Francis Tiafoe. Tiafoe goes through to the fourth round. Then we go down. Rublev's there. Cam Norrie's there. Cam Norrie played a great tournament at Indian Wells too. He was another one who surprised me. I didn't think he was going to go as far as he did. But I think if Rublev has got any kind of form, he goes straight through to the fourth round. There doesn't seem to be anyone there, for my eyes, that could challenge him. Maybe Mickelson, but I don't think so. I think Rublev's pretty comfortable there. Fourth round, Mickelson. Then we finish off the draw with our Indian Wells defending champion, Yannick Sinner, who's playing top 1 tennis at the moment. He has a possible third round matchup against Mute. Again, it's going to be very straightforward for Sinner. He goes through to Mute in the third round. He goes through to a possible Rublev or Cam Norrie, who he's beaten a couple of times each. Then he may move through to the quarterfinals against a Felix or a Tiafoe Menchik. I said Tiafoe, but I'm just going to throw that 50-50. I'm going to travel back on that one a little bit. So very straightforward for Sinner. That rounds out our bottom section of the draw. Let's go through the whole end result that I think is going to happen. So now we get to the part of men's tennis where we have to say, is it boring or is it amazing? And I think it is off the charts amazing. We're seeing Alcaraz and Sinner in the final is my prediction again. I'd love to say Medvedev. Like I said, he's playing top 3 tennis for me at the moment, but he's got a more difficult lineup than he did at Indian Wells. He probably has Shelton in the fourth round, and then maybe a Lerner or a Zverev in the quarterfinals. I think that's a lot more challenging than what he's come through. Then he has Sinner in the in the semis. That would be his matchup there. So I don't think he gets through to the final again. I think Sinner cruises through, and I think Alcaraz cruises through. That's our finals. I think Sinner takes it again. He's just broken the record for youngest all Masters, all Slams, hardcourt finalists, winners. He's killing records. And I think he's the best hardcourt player in the world right now. It's not even close. So for me, Sinner wins the tournament. He takes the Sunshine Double for the first time in a while. And that really wraps up the tournament. I think it's straightforward. We've got our top 2 guys again. Maybe we throw a Zverev and a Medvedev in a quarters and a semis. But it's a very straightforward tournament for me. Sinner on top. He takes the Sunshine Double. And we see more records get broken. Don't forget to like and subscribe.